What would you say to someone who believes that Adam was created as the centerpiece of God's creation and that Eve was just an afterthought?
When I speak to like teenage girls, I actually have said that Eve is the grand finale, right? Like that he's just saving the best for last. And maybe that's just kind of like cutesy or whatever, but I think there's even more there. Like God would say after everything he created that it was good, that it was good, that it was good. The first time that he says this is not good is when he sees Adam and he doesn't have Eve yet. Mm-hmm. And so that's when he then fashions Eve from Adam's rib. And that's powerful. If you are reading like an Old Testament story and you are seeing how women are treated, a quick misconception can be like, well, like that God must be okay with that. Like God must be a chauvinistic, anti-female God because he allowed this to happen to this woman and he put it in his Bible. And so I have learned that when we're reading the Old Testament, for example, we need to look for, if it's a historical time, if it's a narrative type writing, is God mentioned in that part of the story? So it's the Old Testament is the story of Israel, the story of God's people. And so it's telling us what really happened. And there are times where they are far from God, where they're rebellious and they have wandered away from him, and God has let them wander away because he didn't make us be robots that just are programmed to obey him, but gave us free will. So it's often when we read those horrifying stories about rape and horrible murder specifically of women, you'll actually notice that you don't hear a lot about God in those books, in that story. And that's a conclusion we're supposed to make. When the people have wandered away from God, they don't treat women well. And there are some graphic stories.
How does the Bible calling women to be submissive to men represent equality?
When we see like Paul mentioning submission, what he's referring to is in marriage. So the design for the way God designed marriage is to show headship and submission. There's more to that we could talk about. Like, for example, actually what the man is actually called to is service above all. The headship is actually called a service. It's also talking about marriage and family, but then the church. Beyond that, the Bible does not say that a woman can't be a CEO. It's not like God kept all of the good leadership skills and giftings and just gave those to men. Absolutely not at all. And we can even use biblical examples of that, like women who were just amazing leaders. So there's not a glass ceiling for a woman in any other professional journalism or teaching, or she can be a CEO and an entrepreneur.
I think God is a feminist. I think he's the original feminist.
I think God is a feminist because I think God put value in every human being, and it says that we are created in the image of God. He acknowledges the value in every human being because he created every human being.
He uses a woman to bring the Savior to the earth, and he uses a woman to go out and tell people when Christ has risen, and we'd have no knowledge of the resurrection if it weren't for a woman preacher. And so God uses women in really powerful ways in so many aspects of the Bible.
Psalm 139, it starts in verse 13, and it says, "For it was you who created my inward parts, you knit me together in my mother's womb. I will praise you because I have been remarkably and wondrously made. Your works are wondrous, I know this very well. My bones were not hidden from you when I was made in secret, when I was formed in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw me when I was formless. All my days were written in your book and planned before a single one of them began." I think that passage has just always been really meaningful to me because it literally says how valuable we are to God, not only now, when I've matured and grown spiritually, but even before I was even born into the world.
Value comes from the fact that everything that I cannot be as a human being, Jesus was for me. And so I'm not living my life just feeling condemned all the time or feeling like a failure because, I didn't speak well there, I wasn't clear in this thing that I wrote, or I had a temper, with my family or my coworkers. All those times of failure, while they are learning opportunities, the biggest invitation from them is to say, Jesus was perfect where I am not. And so I'm not living hunched over under this pressure, like this crushing pressure to be perfect or to achieve anything. But I actually just feel really free.
Yeah.
I feel loved. And yeah, I feel like I'm flourishing because the design comes from the creator, the one who created life.